I wanted to hog a little bit of time on today's call because as we're thinking about how to achieve your ultimate dreams in Partner Co, whether it's 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 1,000 a month, whatever that it is, we need to know how do we drive the compensation plan and tie it together so that it can get us towards those goals. So we talk in the beginning about going ultimate. We know that that is an absolute obsession, right? You want to sell your way, whether you start there or not. I would aim to sell 1,500 PV in your first 4 Fridays. And however you want to do it, you'll earn anywhere between 1,500 bucks, even up to $3,000 or $1,000 to $2,500. You're going to make some good money, right? Depending on how you sell. And you want to get that goal down. You want to get that activity down. John Wadsworth, our owner and founder, says that we're in a sales business. That's true, right? All of us are always in the selling business. So, and many times the best partners come because they were first the best customer, as you heard even on today's call. So you want to do that and achieve ultimate and lock yourself there for life. And if you're not there yet, absolutely, we want to get you there and we can. But after you get there, what's going to start to happen? As you look in your back office, you'll probably notice staring at you in the face right on the dashboard are these things called title advancements. Have you seen that before? And whether it says team lead or supervisor or whatever that the title is, you start noticing that it's like, wow, what does this mean? And it has a cool little tracker and all of that. I think recognition and titles are very important for most of us. We want the money, but we also want the recognition. We like to feel like we have a sense of progress. And what's great about this business is they give us a lot of these little drivers that we can go to, little recognition pieces. And how titles work here is it is just an accumulation of a certain type of production you've done. So, for example, here's a cool chart. You can find this in your back offices and everything. You can also see it on your title advancement tracker. Um, the first four titles, team lead to senior supervisor, are just a total commissions in USD. How much did you make on everything? Retail sales, new volume bonus, base commission, all of the above. And as you earn total amount of commissions, if you made $100 total, you're a team lead. If you made $400 total, you're a supervisor. But if you notice, there's an interesting difference that happens when you achieve senior supervisor, where from senior supervisor to manager, there becomes one additional requirement. And what that is besides only at least $800 lifetime commissions, you also need a 1 week pay line volume to achieve the next promotions. This is where a lot of people can get stuck because it takes intention and it takes some strategy to be able to go here. And whether it's for you and your team, if you want to go all the other titles, for example, and you can go chairperson 5,000, whatever that you want, there's unlimited titles you can achieve. Right now, the highest in the world is someone called Crown Chairperson Level 2. She's amazing. She actually was a lactation expert in China, Lin Xuan. We were sitting down with her in Bali and just hearing her story. The most normal person in the world, by the way. But she, I think that check that week was probably 50 grand. Like it's crazy what you can do. But in order to achieve those small ones, the way that all of them build up are the more people that you can help get ultimate, and the more people you can get to specifically manager and above, these titles are strong building blocks of volume that you can then structure a vice president promotion, an officer promotion, a senior officer promotion, or a crown chairperson level 2 promotion as well. So today I want to tackle how do you successfully either you make the jump from senior supervisor to manager, or you help your teammates make the jump as well. So we're going to break down a couple of portions here. And if you can master this, I'm telling you, you're going to be able to see how you can write your paycheck in this compensation plan. All right. So let's go through a couple of slides here. To put it simply at first, what does manager look like? It could look something like this. Usually you're going to start having some depth in your organization. Usually manager isn't only just by yourself. It can be, and I'll go over some scenarios. But to put it simply, it can look like you might have a little team going on, and then you have 1,000 points on your line 1, and then let's say you have 1,500 points on your line 2 in this scenario. If you had the lifetime commissions and you had on your smaller line, the pay line is the smaller line at that moment. If you had a total of 1,000 points, remember we have a comp plan where it's unlimited levels roll up. You could have someone 1,000 levels deep. And if they produce 100 volume, it rolls all the way up to you. And that all accumulates, these lines of business. Okay. A manager, the top 5% of managers on average earn $1,100 a month. So you think about that. For a lot of people, 1,000 a month is a lot of income. So that's why manager also is a good place to be. Now, rank does not necessitate income in our company. It is just a symbol that you reach there at one time. So the first goal is to hit the promotion. The second goal is to continue to get paid at that level through consistent productions and residual income and recurring customers and all of that. But it's good to know that that's an average right there. Okay, let's go through this. So this is what your title advancement tracker could look like. This is a scenario of a teammate that is currently at senior supervisor. Senior supervisor they made at least $600 lifetime commission. You'll see this right at the front of your dashboard. This is the phone version. And you'll see it'll open up to go manager. It'll tell you, you need a pay line volume of 1,000 points. And you also need a total lifetime commissions of $800. So we're going to break down a scenario on how do we help this teammate achieve manager. Now, one other cool thing before we break that down is maybe you're a leader that wants to help your teammates go manager as well. A cool thing you can do is you can click on this little gear button and it'll open up this menu that says track my team. And when you track your team, you can put in their ID number. So let's say I'm working with Vanessa and I see that I want to help her go to the next promotion. I could take her ID number, put it into this, and it'll populate this same title advancement progress tracker. So I know that I know where she stands and I know where we can go. Okay, so whether for you or your team, let's go. Danielle said Lisa's almost manager today, 239 points away. Let's go. Come on. So let me give an example of what we can do in this scenario. Okay, when you read this chart, this is what I see. This teammate made $681 total so far. Because a hit manager, you need both to be done. We get paid weekly, so Friday is the end of the pay period. So we see by end of Friday, where are we going to stand? We need total commissions of $800. And number 2, we need 1,000 points on the pay line. For this teammate, she's already at $681. Meaning, I'm not afraid of her ending the week at 800 total commissions. Because even in the worst case scenario, if you got 1,000 points, and let's say that's on your smaller line, and let's say that's base commissionable volume, you make 15%, that's $150 already at least. So I already know this teammate. I don't have to worry about the lifetime total commissions in this scenario. I just have to worry about how do we get the 1,000 points. She's going to already make more than enough where we don't have to worry about those $800 minimum. Most people, by the time they're ready to go manager, because they're selling, because they're enrolling, they're probably going to clear the lifetime commissions portion. So typically you don't have to worry about that. But in some scenarios, you're going super, super fast. So you might want to consider that for strategy. Okay. But in this one, we don't have to worry about that money side. All we have to worry about is 1,000 points of volume. I hope that makes sense there. Okay. This is a training that you might want to watch a couple of times so that you get some strategy done. So 1,000 points. That is our mission. how do you get 1,000 points? Okay. One other thing I want to look at is you want to see, well, power line and pay line, what does that actually look like? I know from here we need 1,000 points pay line, but I also need to see where does the volume stand right now and how much does she actually need. So here's where you'll go to check. Go to your menu, go to my money, and go to volume. This is the most important report that I check all the time. It's the most accurate. It has everything that you need. So when I take a look at the volume, this is a phone version. I'll do a couple things. On the right, do you see there's this minus sign? It'll be a plus sign if you didn't click on it. You want to click on that because that'll expand the view on a phone. You want to look at everything. If you're on a desktop, it'll show everything. And when I say everything, it'll show these other rows. And what I'm looking for on both line 1 and line 2, this bottom says total volume for Tidal Vance and global profit sharing. What am I looking for? I want to look for on the power line, the one with more volume at this moment, does it have at least 1,000 points? Because for me to have a pay line of 1,000 points, I need to have at least 1,000 on the power to support it. This teammate has 13,334. They have more than enough volume. So I'm like, check. All right, I don't have to worry about getting more volume on the power line to support the pay line. Okay, does that make sense at all? That's more than enough. So that's my first check. So in this situation, all I need to think about is I don't need to think about lifetime commissions because I already know they're going to make enough. I don't need to worry about having more volume on the power line right now. I just need to focus on the pay line, line 2. Now, this line 2, where can the volume come from? Anyone in this teammate's line 2, whatever volume that they buy, sell, enroll, doesn't matter. All of that volume rolls up. Let's say Danielle Singh is on the line 2. Danielle Singh needs to buy some more products. She buys 200 points. That all accumulates towards that line 2. Let's say Diane Odom is underneath line 2 too. Diane Odom sponsors a new ultimate pack, 1,500 points. That all adds up, 100%. Your line 2 now has the volume that you need. What else is involved in line 2? Any of your personal customers or any of your personal volume. If you buy or sell, assuming you're commission qualified, it takes 100 PV a month to stay qualified. Anything above and beyond 100 auto balances, it goes automatically towards the lines that pay you the most. So actually your customer volume and your personal volume, if you're already commission qualified that month, will also go towards, in this scenario, your line 2. So let's say I sold a 10 pack of drops in the US, and that's 500 PV. If I sold 2 of those, that's 1,000. And let's say I put that in my personal volume because I have inventory and people are buying it, that could go towards the line 2 as well too. Does this make sense so far? So this is where all volume can come from. Now, I do want to give you some also rank strategy as well too. Here's my philosophy. Whenever you or your team get a promotion, you want to make profits. Okay, put make profit in the chat below. The reality is this, we all love recognition, but you cannot take a rank to the bank, right? I don't care just for a rank. I want the end lifestyle. So as John Wadsworth would say, there's a temptation that can happen, to be very honest. I can just buy the volume and I can just like go hit a rank. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying consider. What am I looking for the most? Do I just want a pat on the back and tons of products? Or do I actually want to make profit? I believe what's important is profits. Here's my other standard. If you're going for a promotion, you have a weekly average earnings you typically do. Make sure that whatever promotion you do, you end up making more than the average that you've been making. I'm not opposed to investing. For example, let's say you wanted to buy some products anyway. You've been wanting that CM2 pulse band. You're like, I want to buy it anyway. You might consider this might be one of those times, for example, right? Or let's say you're selling retail and you have an inventory and you're actually sold out of your drops and you need to get another pack and you're about to sell it. That's something you can consider. But let me be straight up. If you have 50 boxes of drops in your closet right now, you should not go buy another 50 boxes of drops if you can't sell them. I'm using an extreme example. Because what do we want? We want the lifestyle, not just the rank. If that makes sense, put make sense in the comments below. All right. So just my 2 cents on that, but I'm not opposed to using some products. I'm not opposed to you can make some promotion. You can get really creative. It's your business, right? Business owners can think of sales. You can comp shipping and hey, buy today and you get free shipping. That's $15, for example. So you can think about these things, but consider your earnings and consider what you want to do. Why? Because we don't want the shortcuts, as John Wadsworth said. While we can, it's not necessarily that we should. So I want to challenge you to actually make the sales to do what it is that you want to do. Okay? How do you get 1,000 points in this scenario? There's many different ways to do it. Okay? Let's say you're selling through and you are thinking about different types of packs to customers. Something that you can do is I would go onto the PartnerCo site and you might have some favorite packs that you want to utilize. Okay. So I'm logged in and what I'll do is I'll go on to the site and I'll just take a look. What are some popular packages that are here? I think for customers, popular packages could be 100 PV packs, 200 points, couple $100, right? So you might consider some of these and I'm like, all right, I need to know how many points. One of my favorite packs personally is I love the Drops and Renew. Drops and Renew, two really popular products. You also get a really big savings. You save over $60 buying them standalone when you buy them together. So I'm like, you can upsell that pretty simply. I know it's 100 points. Let's say I was only selling the SunX and Renew and I wanted 1,000 points. I need 10 of those. I need 10 of those. All right, cool. So I know that's something that I can consider. Other ways that I can get points is, let's say there's customers, but you can also enroll brand partners. Brand partners typically buy more volume. You heard Diane Odom earlier talk about her new ultimate partner. This person is in a money-making mindset. So they're thinking to themselves, I want to make the most amount of money. So I'm going to go ultimate. I'm going to buy not just 1,500, but 1,600 points. So when you have a business conversation, many times they will now look at the purchase decision differently. So you might consider, who can I partner with and get on board and help them get to ultimate as quickly as possible, right? So for example, people typically, if they're looking at it from a business perspective, they might look at a 200 PV pack to get started with. That's like a normal, I'd say the average partner gets started with at least 200 points. So if you're in an enrollment phase, you might consider 5 people to enroll through you and your team on your pay line. You might have an enrollment spree. If you get 2 business packs sold, that's 500 times 2, that's 1,000. Or if you get 1 ultimate, that is 1,000 points right there. Does this make sense, guys? Like this is just all the different routes and ways. There's no wrong or right way. It's just, how do we get all those done? You have to know what's the points you need. Where can it come from? I want to utilize all strategies because they're all very, very powerful. One last way that's very powerful to get volume is if you're looking at your team and you want to help them maximize their pay, and they're on your pay line, do you have teammates that are not yet ultimate that we can help make a plan to go ultimate? If you have a brand new teammate, and let's say they start at 200 points, and they need 1,300 more points to go to 1,500 or ultimate, if you spent the next week breaking down the strategy to help them sell their way or however you want to get them to ultimate, that's 1,300 points on your pay line, and that would be 1,000 points for you. So think personal customers, think personal enrollments, think team upgrades, team sales, team promotions, team enrollments. Take all those strategies and think 1,000 points. If you're still with me, put a 1,000 in the comments below. Once again, my goal is to have the ultimate manager breakdown so you have no questions from now on, and you can review this because this is a very key promotion to have. Okay, let me go through another interesting scenario. You ready for a hack that's very interesting? In fact, this is one of the patent pens that are in this compensation plan, why it's rated #1. Okay. There's going to be many scenarios where you'll see, let's say I'm checking back on this teammate's volume, and I'm looking at their chart, and I see a couple things here. #1, I see currently they only have $379, so they need $421 more of lifetime commission to go manager. So that's like a good amount. #2, I'm looking at their volume. In the volume report, you can put in their ID #2 on the top part that I blacked out there. And I see they have 382 points on their line 1. That's not 1,000, right? And they have 0 on their line 2. So if your teammate does not have 1,000 points in the power line, what can you do? There's a couple ways to get this person manager if we want 1,000 points pay line volume. The first way is this. If you had 2 lines and you had 0 points in these lines right now, one way, if you wanted to do it all through customers or your personal volume, is you could accumulate 2,000 points total in that week. Auto balancing is one of the patent pens in our comp plan. Auto balancing says every week, your personal volume and your preferred customer volume will always go to the lines in your business that will pay you the most. There's other comp plans where you have to place a customer. If you place them on a power line, you will never get paid from them, for example, in those comp plans. This one, the comp plan just wants to pay you always. Is that pretty cool? So you will get paid well here. How does it work? You have 2 lines at 0 for simplicity. In this scenario, it'll split the 2,000 evenly, 1,000 points in your line 1 and 1,000 points in line 2. Question, in this scenario, do you have a power line, the line with the most amount of points, at least 1,000 points? They're equal, so yes, you do. Do you also have a pay line, the smaller line? In this scenario, they're the same number. Do you have a pay line of at least 1,000 points too? Yes, you do. So you have 1,000 points of pay line volume in this scenario. Does this make sense? But I want you to know, if you only had 2 lines and you went from scratch, you would need 2,000 total volume to auto balance to 1,000 points pay line volume. Here's the cool part. You're going to get mind blown. I'm all a fan of efficiency. Some might call it laziness. All right. I am naturally lazy, meaning I want to do the least amount of work for the maximum pay. Let's flip that around though. Let's do the most amount of work, but also be efficient with our pay. All right. So how does this work? What if you had 5 lines? You went ultimate. When you're ultimate, you have 5 lines. That's why we also recommend ultimate is important, not just for doubling your new volume bonus at 30%, not just for unlocking gold status or matching bonus, the first 3 levels of leadership check match, but also you earn 5 lines. So we don't tell you to build them with teammates. We say focus on 2 lines. But in the scenario that you're getting customers, What if I were to tell you you get paid more money when you have 5 lines? How? We're gonna aim to go manager in this scenario too. 1,000 points total pay line volume. Same scenario, right? How do we do it the most efficient way if you have 5 lines? If you're at 0, here's the most efficient way. Personal volume and PC volume at 1250. Remember, before we said 2,000. You're doing 750 points less. That's like $1,000 plus less. How does this divide? Remember, auto balancing will divide the points into the lines that's the most efficient. It'll actually take the 1250 if you divide it by 5, and it'll equally put 250 into each of the 5 lines. That's interesting. So the maximum you have is 250 points. How does this work with power line and pay line? The cool part about multiple lines is when you have this setup, they designate one line, the one with the most volume, as the power line. And all of the other lines are also independently looked at as pay lines. So in this scenario, you have 1 power line and 4 pay lines. Let's say line 1 is your power. They're all the same volume. They'll designate 1 arbitrarily as a power line. That means your other 4 are pay lines. Okay. Auto balancing is for everyone. Absolutely. So my question to you is this: how much pay line volume do you have in this scenario? If line 2, 3, 4, and 5 are pay lines too, anyone have a guess? Throw it in the chat. You have 250 in your power, but how much? Yeah, you have 1,000 points total on your pay line. Every line is independently referenced to the power line. And even though you only have 250 on the power line, you will then have 250 plus 250 plus 250 plus 250, 1,000 points total pay line volume. So you did less total sales, 1,250, but you got the same pay. The other scenario, you needed 2,000 points to get 1,000 points pay line volume. This one, you need 1,250 points to have 1,000 points pay line volume. At the end of the week, no line ever goes under 0. So you don't go negative. It just goes down to 0, catches out. And what Katie Garner said is right. If you had enough lifetime commissions, you would have hit manager in this scenario. So to recap, have 5 lines available. Build 2 lines with your team. But when you're getting customers or extra personal volume, it can auto balance into the other lines to help you to get pay line volume. Especially if you're in a scenario like we're looking at this one. This teammate only has 382 on their power line right now. Do you know what my game plan would be for this teammate? This teammate's at ultimate already. She has 5 lines. I would tell this teammate, let's get 1,000 points total. Let's aim to get 1,000 points of customers. Let's sell 10 SlenderX Renew packs. Let's make retail commissions because she needs that because she only has 379 right now and more. So Renew and SlenderX actually is $240 subtotal. And you would make 30% of retail sales. So $80 times 10, $800. So you're in a really cool place. You're going to make a lot of money. You're going to get the lifetime commissions. And then you're going to have enough volume for the pay line volume. So I'm going to tell them, let's go sell 10 SlenderX Renew packs. Let's make that a goal. You have enough on your power. You have 5 lines. You get 1,000 points total. You will be a manager like that. Okay. After that, usually the titles get much more simple. But this one point here, I just gave you a top 1% secret. Most people don't know, don't understand, don't implement. But if you can grab this for you and your team, you might want to repeat this a couple times and help someone do it or go yourself. Watch how your business just starts to skyrocket. Okay. So with that, I know we went deep, but my goal was have one training where from now on, there is no questions asked. Let's have tons of managers happen. Let's have tons of teammates get promoted. And if you can master this part, the rest starts to add up. All right. So with that, thanks for the extra time today, guys.